Hi guys, welcome back to Joy's Reading Time. I've decided to read part 2 of The Rules of Love by Richard Templar. I did not go through the pages consecutively. Last time I read up to rule number 4, but I thought I just picked out a few random ones that I felt were good and interesting. And so I'm going to jump straight into it. Remember, subscribe, comment, share, and click on the notification bell for any next reading that I'm doing. So I'm jumping right into rule 7. And it says, don't keep making the same mistakes. So I feel this is something that a lot of us do. We say that we don't want this sort of person, that sort of person, but yet still we found someone like kind of the same like the person we last had. So let's see what he says about this. Look, I know this one sounds blatantly obvious, but you'd be surprised how many clever people do it over and over. You think that if your ex was a nightmare from hell, you now stare a million miles from anybody who reminded you of them. But subconsciously, you might be heading straight for a carbon copy. I know a bloke who is inexplicably attracted to women who are chronically jealous and insecure. It tells me that some unconscious part of him can recognize them at 100 paces. He doesn't always realize to begin with, but as soon as he starts to get involved, it turns out that yet again he found a woman who wants to know where he is all the time and who he's with. Apparently his mother was chronically insecure too, but we won't go there now. Doesn't have to be jealousy. It can be partners who put you down, who are unfaithful, who are over-dependent, who are married, you name it. We all have certain patterns we keep following in relationships. Some of them are not a problem. If you always go for people who like animals or who love being outdoors or are 5 years older than you, that shouldn't matter. Unless you're allergic to cat hairs, agoraphobic or 9 to 5. But if you always go for a type that just doesn't work out, then you need to stop hitting your head against that particular brick wall. I know it's not easy if this particular insecure, over-dependent, overly independent, unfaithful, uncaring, married person is great on every other level. It can be really tough deciding to end the relationship. Well, it's your choice. All I'm saying is that if you know that this type of person has never been good for you in the past, I can pretty well guarantee that they're not going to be good for you in the future either. So stay if you want to, but don't say I didn't warn you when it all goes horribly wrong. I don't suppose it's only me. I imagine most of your friends have warned you too. Of course, changing deep-seated behaviour is hard. I'm not going to pretend it isn't. The vital thing is to recognise the pattern and then to try to get to the bottom of how you got yourself stuck in this rut. In one sense, how you got there isn't relevant, but actually, like the bloke with the jealous mother, it might help if you can see where your behaviour comes from. Then you have to decide whether to commit your life to a string of failed relationships that everyone, including you, could have predicted and probably did. No? Does it appeal? In that case, you must resolve to avoid any relationship that fits the pattern, rather than trying to kid yourself every time that this one is different. For some people, this is quite easy once you've identified the problem, but for others, it's hard. Sometimes you have to do quite a lot of work building your own confidence to break the mold. However, if what you want in life is a happy, long-term relationship that really works and makes both of you feel great, there is no other way. And however hard you find to break the pattern, I promise it will be worth it. I like this rule. This is true. I feel this happens to a lot of us. We don't realize at the time we go for the same kind of guys, maybe in the way they dress, just in the way they do what they do. And I feel when we realise the pattern, we have to look at where the pattern stems from. It could be from our own childhood, you know, having a mother a certain way or a father a certain way, and we don't realise we sort of identified with that character and continue to find people who are the same kind of character as what we state that we don't like. So that is something to really consider. I then jumped ahead to rule 9, and it says you can't change people. And I thought this was a good one, because we meet people and then we look at things we don't like, aspects of them that we don't like, and feel that, you know, if they change this way, and we don't want to accept what we have. So sometimes we have to say, if their character or aspects of them is not what we like or want to accept, then maybe the relationship's not right. So he says that, suppose you're naturally tidy, I mean really neurotically tidy, can't stand to leave the washing up for later, and always put away everything immediately after use. And imagine you ended up with a partner who liked to spend their possessions about and actually only felt comfortable with clutter. Would you become a messy person to keep them happy? Then why would you expect them to become tidy? If you're not actually tidy, you might be wondering what's the problem would be. But if you're one of nature's tidy people, like myself, you'd probably be thinking that would be a struggle and an unreasonable request, and you'd be right. The fact is that you can't ask people to change, and even if they wanted to, they couldn't do it. Sure, they can modify their behaviour, but they can't change their personality. You might persuade your messy partner to hang up the bathroom towel instead of leaving it on the floor, but I bet they hang it up all crooked and it will still drive you mad, because you can't turn them into a tidy person. Only a messy one who hangs up the towel. Meantime, the kitchen will be a tip, and the floor of the car will be disgusting in your view, but not theirs. And it's not just a question of being messy or tidy. You can't stop someone being irresponsible, or football obsessed, or workaholic, or shy, or easily stressed. So if you can't live with these characteristics, don't get involved. Whatever you do, don't embark on a relationship with someone thinking, I can't cope with this bit of their personality, but that's okay, I'll change it. You won't, you know. You just make both of you miserable. I know no one is exactly perfect. Everyone can be irritating from time to time in a relationship, including you. But you're looking for someone whose irritating habits are worth putting up with, not for someone who you can mould to your personal requirements. And be warned that this also applies to the big stuff that could make you very unhappy. If you meet someone who is perfect apart from being an alcoholic or physically abusive or seriously unfaithful, you won't change that either. Please don't kid yourself. They might keep the behaviour in check for the first few months or years, but sooner or later, when the euphoria wears off and the stress of normal life returns, they will go back to their old ways. Don't say I didn't warn you. And, you know, that's important. And it could be simple as someone who always leaves the toilet seat up. I really dislike that. And if you're with someone, especially if they live with women, and they grow up with, you know, a lot of sisters and they still do it, well, in my opinion, it shows a selfishness about them if that was always a problem in their household. It's something I dislike, and if they always do it, it will become a problem. It may seem small, but after a while, it can become irritating. So that is something to consider as well. Relationships are quite difficult, aren't they? I jumped on you straight from rule 9 to rule 10 because I thought this was interesting as well. Relationships aren't about sex. Great sex is a wonderful thing, and if there isn't any sexual attraction, even at the beginning, the relationship doesn't stand much of a chance. But the best relationships will last a lifetime, and your libido may not. If the relationship is built on sex alone, you will be in trouble once you have to deal with children, money worries, elderly parents, carer problems, and everything else life will throw at you sooner or later. A good romp in the bedroom just isn't the solution to most of those. The rule belongs in this section because it is so important to remember when you're looking for love. The danger is that you mistake lust for love. That you think because the sex is great, the relationship must be too. You know, all those people who get married after only a few weeks, a few of them get it right, but most of them are literally seduced by the physical attraction and can't see clearly whether there's the basis for a successful lifelong relationship or not. Often there isn't. I have a friend who's always looking for the perfect sexual partner. It's not that he has any particular bizarre requirement, as far as I'm aware. It's just that sex is his top priority in choosing a partner. Consequently, he has a great sex life, but he can't understand why he never had a successful long-term relationship. I'm not suggesting that sex doesn't come into it, but it's not what relationships are about, and he's making it very difficult for himself by giving priority to something that isn't that crucial to the kind of relationship he actually craves. If you're free and just having a fling, it's easy to convince yourself that a strong sexual attraction or a great sex life is actually more than that. It's easy to kid yourself that there is much more to the relationship. I'm sure there is more if you say so, but is there enough more? Is there really enough to get you through both the bad times and the good times? To get you through illness and worry and the tragedies that all of us encounter sometime in our lives? If you're not sure, then by all means go on enjoying the physical appeal of the relationship. But don't commit yourself for life until the lust wears off and you can see clearly what's left. I mean, I get what he's saying. When you're young, that is something you think about. But even then, I'm sure a lot of people, when you live with a person for a long time, it's not about the sex anymore. It's all about the other problems that comes with long-term relationships, and where you might have had sex every day or twice a day, it might be once a week or once every other week. So then the question would be, what is holding these two people together? There has to be something more than just the sex. But you have some people who do love sex, and if they find a partner that they both enjoy together, that's good. But still, there is more to life than just the sexual act, the sex, the sex act, I would say. So I do actually get this point. It makes a lot of sense. I then went straight to rule 12. And this one starts with, don't stay with someone who doesn't care. I felt this was important to add also. Some people are great at being partners and some just aren't. Once they've known you through all the seasons, they settle down into taking you for granted. They haven't got much time for your problem. If they've even noticed that you're not your usual jolly self, they don't bring you flowers anymore, or suggest a romantic evening out, or spoil you on your birthday. In short, they just don't care enough. Often the people who do this are just downright self-centered. They stop noticing you once they think the relationship is secure and go back to thinking about themselves. They probably still expect you to look out for them and listen while they talk through their problem or offload the stress of the day, but they're reluctant to reciprocate. Sadly, these people aren't likely to change, at least not for you. Maybe one day they'll be dumped by someone really special and it will wake them up for the next time. I hope so. But it may have to be that you dumped them. The fact is that if you don't care enough, they won't make you feel special and that's not right or fair. You want a partner who makes you feel special because you are, and they want you to know it. Not one who has learnt to go through the emotions in order to stop you leaving. And that's what it comes down to. If your partner truly cares about you, then make it very clear. If deep down they're putting themselves first and taking you for granted, it's not going to change. You deserve better than that. Go and find yourself someone who really wants to make you happy. If your partner doesn't care about you now, at the start of the relationship, things will go downhill if you stay together. Don't imagine that moving in together or getting married or whatever is going to make it all better, because I can tell you now that it will make it all worse. You need well and truly to resolve this problem before you consider making a big commitment to them, and good luck to you too. If you decide to give them a last chance, give it a very long time to be sure they really have changed before you commit yourself. Somewhere out there is someone who will care for you properly in every sense. Don't throw yourself away on someone who won't. It will damage your confidence and your self-esteem over the years, as well as making you unhappy. So do yourself a favour and wait for someone better to come. And you know, this is important. This is really a good rule. You have a lot of people in the relationships who are not happy, and they express this to their partner. And their partner may listen for a minute and they say, look, blah, de blah. And they find that this is always repeated, and then they decide, you know what, I don't want the relationship no more. I finally got the strength to leave. And it does take strength when you love someone to say you're going to leave. And the partner just does everything you want. And it's so kind, and they listen, and it's just for a short period of time, and then they change back. And the reason why they change back, because it's not naturally who they are. They cannot be better, even if they want to. I mean, they put the effort in, and and I'm not saying that that person may not love you, but they cannot be the person who you deserve. And that's what it is. Life is about what you feel you deserve, and not being afraid to be alone. And for one of the last parts, I just felt, before I ended, I felt rule 16 was really good. I mean, there's so much good rules in here. If you're really interested, as I said, get the book. As I said, I'm not trying to sell you it. I just find it really interesting. But it says, don't tar new partners with old brushes. Most of us have a past of some kind, even very early on. The most innocent of teenage romances leave us with some kind of history, and it's very easy to let that get in the way of the next romance. We're programmed to assume that the future will look pretty much the same as the past, unless there's a good reason to think otherwise. If your hair has always looked smarter, brushed in the past, it's wise to brush it again today if you want to look good. If you like bananas the last time you ate one, you probably like them the next time. If you've always been good with numbers, this job, which calls for good number work, shouldn't be too much of a challenge. If your last partner cheated on you, your next partner will. Whoa, hold it, rewind. Scrap that last example. Yes, lots of things in life follow the same basic principle every time. But that doesn't apply to partners. All those other examples were just about you. And you're still the same person, but each partner is new. It may well be the case that if your last partner cheated on you, they'll probably cheat on their next partner too. But that's not your problem anymore. However, this new partner comes with a clean sheet. And there's nothing to say they resemble your last partner at all. In fact, if you really thought they did, what are you doing with them in the first place? Of course, cheating is just one fairly extreme example. I've known people who make all sorts of assumptions based purely on what their last partner did. I know one woman who assumed her partner was sulking with her if he didn't make her a cup of tea when he came home, just because her last partner would have been sulking. Actually, this partner was planning to get changed, have a wash, and then put the kettle on. I know someone else who got upset if his wife had her back to him when he got into bed on the grounds it must mean don't touch. In fact, she was just more comfortable on her left side. As with so many rules, you need to reverse the situation and think how you feel if your partner judged you by the standards of some ex you probably never even met. If some innocent gesture or remark caused a row simply because it would have meant something else in another relationship that you weren't even part of. Yep, pretty damn frustrating. So whether big stuff or little signals, whether it's money or sex or moodiness or work or secrets or lies or romance or anything else, you could create all sorts of problems that just aren't there if you start tarring this partner with the same brush as the last one. And I felt this was an important part because we do this a lot. This is life, relationships, and we have history and we have scars and scars that have not healed. And we put this on other people, which is important to heal your own scars first and try and accept that person with a clean sheet, clean sheet. Yeah, so thank you for listening. And I have my Instagram in the description below that you can always contact me on if you would want to. Please comment. And thank you for listening. And remember, subscribe and share. Until the next book. Thank you.